Indeed, this community last year was considered the safest in the United States. To psychologist Robi Ludwig on what we can learn from that we shouldn't generalize, right?
Yeah, definitely not generalize. And I agree with everything that Paul said. I think that we need to have educators really teaching not only other teachers, but students what the signs are, because the difference between these young kids who are murdering other kids and adult murders is that kids leak. So they share information. They brag about it in some cases. They're telling other kids they like the idea of killing people. They're sharing it on social media. They might even be revealing it in the work that they produce. So teachers need to keep an eye out. And I think.
But if you had to do that for every kid who had a questionable drawing or questionable comment, a run-in with a teacher or administrator, you'd have a lot of kids lined up, right?
You might, but you have to put all of these factors together. So better safe than sorry. So really, we want to encourage kids to say something if they see something and what to look for. Is there a kid who's saying that there's a D-Day, that they are planning to come back and it's going to be dangerous? Are they stockpiling weapons that they have access to? Are they loners? How do they handle aggression?
What would you tell parents then, Doctor? One of the things was that, and this was the case with the Columbine killers, where, and the social media isn't at all what it is today, where they were piling up weapons. They were getting more and more stuff. People knew about it. Now, of course, it's all over the internet when something like this goes. If you know about it, or what do you tell kids who are privy to this, their parents who want to be privy to this?
Say something. My daughter is very disturbed by this. She's in high school, and she said, there's this kid at the school who kind of reminds me of the shooter in some ways. I said, you have to say something. She's like, well, I don't want to say that he's going to do something. I said, that's not your job. I said, your job is to observe and say something. So I said something. Have a good relationship with your kids. Encourage them to talk to you. Be willing to share that information.
But they're afraid of sounding like tattletales.
They are. That's why they need to be re-educated and say, hey, listen, you as students, you as peers may be the first to hear this information through bragging, through social media that we don't even know about, Neil, because we're a different generation.
Right.
My daughter was seeing things on Snapchat that was so violent from the school shootings that they haven't even put it on TV. So our kids have access to information. They just need to be given permission and told what to do with that information.
So many kids today, their lives are online. Their emotions are played out online. Right. Their back and forths, their interchanges are online. But then the privacy advocates are going to say, well, they have reason to be shielded from policing online. Where is that line there?
I think what Paul said, instead of the illusion of safety, we have to understand there are terrorists within our own school system, and we have to do something about it. So yes, you're entitled to privacy if you're not endangering anybody else. But if there's a question about that, or a kid identifies with killers and school shooters and likes the idea of doing it themselves, then that needs to be reported.